Welcome back to the Boxed In podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Martin Stamper. Martin, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Busy.
Busy? Yeah. What you been up to at the moment, like then?
So I did have a break after the Olympics and just come back to work yesterday. So just catching up on a lot of athletes programs and we've got a competition in a couple of weeks. So some of the athletes are getting prepared for that. So just yeah, straight back to it basically after having a bit of time off, which you don't usually get in this sport. But after the Olympics, it was good to have a few weeks just to try and relax and switch off.
So yeah, obviously you speak about the Olympics. You are a high performance coach for Team GB Taekwondo, but you were yourself a athlete in Taekwondo. How did you kind of get into Taekwondo?
So from a really young age, I was 6. Like most kids, especially nowadays, like bit hyperactive, bit kind of cheeky or whatever. My mum said, want to get him out the house doing something. So went over to a local club, and I remember going to like a karate club first, and there was kind of a group of lads outside swearing and stuff, and my mum grabbed me and said, "You're not going in there." And then we went round the corner, went to a Taekwondo club, and it was quite respectful, people bowing, and she just threw me in, and I loved it basically from the start. So been doing it pretty much all my life.
So I guess sort of the pinnacle of your Taekwondo career, I'm guessing here, would be competing in the London 2012 Olympics.
Yeah.
How does that sort of whole process work of getting picked to be an Olympian?
So we have a kind of process here where it's you join a club, so you'll be our local club. It doesn't have to be this. This is the kind of traditional route, but there's a few other routes now. With we've had fighting chance in the past. People coming from different martial arts and fast tracking into the Olympics, like Lauren Williams did, and let's say Muhammad and Damon Samson nearly got in as well. So, but for me, I joined the local club. I was on the junior team, so I was picked for a few junior teams and got European medal, and then joined the academy when I was 19. And then it was full-time training well, we started in Loughborough, and then it was we located to Manchester, and then obviously progressed through the team from G1 and G2, which are kind of our international opens, and then got some major medals. And then it was tough for selection for London because we had the place. So I think I was ranked in the top 6 anyway. Nowadays, you've got to be ranked in the top 6 for automatic selection. But it was we kind of had the place, so we had to choose amongst some top 68s, and luckily I got the nod.
How did it feel to represent your country at the pinnacle of your sport?
Oh, it's amazing. Taekwondo is not like obviously a mainstream sport.
Yeah.
We do go to some great events, but nothing compares to the Olympics, where it's so elite and focused, and there's nothing no stone unturned with support staff, and anything. You kind of feel like you are the only person that people are looking after, because you got everything on tap, all your nutrition, all the S&C coaches one-on-one, and it goes really, really individualized towards the Olympics. And then obviously walking out is the Excel Arena in London. I think it was 6,000 people, mainly supporting me because it's only one ring. It's just an unbelievable feeling to be able to do that.
Going into London, did the Team GB team sort of have high hopes for the games?
Yeah, I think every Olympics we've been to, probably since we've had a full-time program, selection's been so tough that by the time we get the games, every person who's selected for, GB Taekwondo Team GB, is in line to either get an Olympic medal or win gold. So we always have, you know, really high expectations and high hopes on the players. We just do everything. Now, me as a coach, you just do everything to help them try and perform on the day.
What was your kind of first impression of the Olympic Village when you arrived in London?
So we had a bit of a different kind of preparation than most sports because we were the last 4 days of the games in London. So literally we were on it was I think it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I competed on the Friday, and then the Olympics was over on the Sunday, closing ceremony, and everyone went home. So the village is quite difficult to have because there's so many countries there, you know, to have your own facilities. So we stayed in Loughborough for the majority of the preparation camp. And then a week before we were competing, we went to the village where some, you know, athletes have been in the village for like 3 weeks before the Olympics had even started. So it was kind of a bit of a whirlwind, but I just remember like the team being really close together. Like you get your own kind of apartment block. So you'll have one apartment block which is just for Team GB, all different sports. You have you know, areas where you can chill and play games. I remember like all the vending machines being free, and I was like, whoa, this is, you know, crazy. Like it's amazing that you can just go and get like drinks and snacks and whatever you want for free. And then the food hall, which I think a lot of people mention in London, it was unbelievable. Like the food there, they had every kind of nationality, different kind of dishes from around the world, and they had a McDonald's which was free. But obviously, I weren't eating that. Weren't eating that before I was competing. Obviously, we're in a weight making sport anyway, and it's not the best food.
How did you kind of feel going into your first fight at London?
Um, remember remember feeling all right. Uh, so back then there was it wasn't as kind of predictable to seed. So now you have the seeding, you know, we'll know probably a month before the games who's going to be fighting who. So before London, I can't remember 100%, but I remember the ranking not being what it is today. So it was, you know, I wasn't sure who I was going to fight. I remember knowing that I'd go in as fourth seed and potentially having Turkey in the semi-final. It was the, you know, one of the biggest threats. And then the draw come out, and I had Mexico first, I remember, and then it was Peru or Serbia, and I was quite kind of happy with the draw. I'd actually fought the Mexican in a camp previously, and felt quite confident. You know, I could do well against them. Still a very tough competitor. But yeah, so I was confident going in, and then I just remember the crowd being unbelievable, and then the system being a little bit harder to score on than what I was used to in some of the opens. So I think the first 2 rounds, which was unlike kind of fights that I'd be in, it was 0-0. And then the third round, it kind of sprung to life and points went on the board. But I just remember thinking, bloody hell, it's quite hard to score on the system, which sometimes happens in the Olympics. It's just a different setup, which it shouldn't do, but it's, you know, part of our sport. So we go from opens or world championships where you have 10 rings running at once, and then you go to an Olympic Games where it's just one system, you know, so it does sometimes affect how it runs. But yeah, I remember feeling quite confident.
So you got all the way to the bronze medal match at the 2012 Olympics. What was kind of the experience like?
So yeah, I went in against Turkey in the semi-final. It was, you know, the number one back then. I'd beat him in German Open. He'd beat me in the World Championships, and in the World Championships, he gave me a beating. To be fair, like I didn't fight a great fight. And he destroyed me basically in the semi-final of the World. So I remember being like, I know what game plan I need to play, and he actually adjusted and went up in the match, and then I played the game and it was working really well. I got back to that point with, 30 seconds left. And then I made one mistake, which basically I, say till this day, like it cost me, a chance at gold. Because my tactic was if he span at me, I was to react on the spot, and instead of reacting on the spot, I shifted out, and that cost me basically the match. So obviously going into the bronze, I was devastated because I did believe I could, get gold. So it was a very hard process to pick yourself back up. I think if you lose first match, you can dust yourself off and be like, right, I didn't get close. I've got a chance now to go and get bronze. But when you're losing a semi-final, especially in a close match, I found it hard to pick myself back up, and I don't think I really performed as well as I should have done in the bronze medal match.
So you've spoken a little bit about the crowd, but having the home crowd behind you, did you say it kind of worked in your favor, or did you feel almost an extra pressure to kind of perform in front of them?
No, I love the crowd. Like it just builds such a good atmosphere for me. And in the second match, I remember being down in the first two rounds against Serbia, who's a really awkward opponent and good standard. And I remember the crowd, like when I got a point back, started cheering and going nuts. And then I got another point back and then it kind of went from me losing by a couple of points to winning by quite a lot. And I felt like the crowd really gave me that,
Yeah.
lift to do that because, fitness is a big thing in Taekwondo as well. So, you go down and it's tiring, and if you can get a little lift from somewhere, which I feel like the crowd did, so I loved it. My kind of, I wanted it to happen, not like a dream, but well, maybe as a kid, I remember watching. So in opens, like domestic opens, they used to
Yeah.
clear the mats away and leave like only one or two mats open for the best fights of the day. And I always used to want to. Hopefully, I'll be like one of the best fights of the day that they're keeping the mats down for. So I thrived on it in London.
I don't feel like we can talk about Team GB and Taekwondo in London 2012 without bringing up Jade Jones winning gold. Did you get to watch that moment live?
Um. So yes, we were basically me and Jade were the same seed, so it was female first, then it was male. So Jade was always on the match before me. So first match she was on, then I was on second, third, like so the crowd was already going mad. Um, yeah, it was an amazing moment. Obviously, she was only 19 as well. She burst onto the scene. And absolutely smashed it on that day, like performed out of her skin because I remember she had a good draw, but then the Chinese girl was like the favorite by quite a bit. I think she beat her in the Worlds before, and she was really good. And Jade just fought an amazing fight, and the first ever gold medal for Taekwondo in the Olympics, which is such an amazing achievement.
Did you kind of know back then how good Jade Jones was and what she was going to go on to achieve?
Oh yeah, yeah. You can see it when Jade first come in the academy. She just had this like determination and like commitment with everything she done. So she had like a great work intensity. She had obviously a great coach, Paul Graham, behind her. And yeah, she was always going to do well. You can see it from some of the young ones when they come in. It's just a determination they have and a kind of commitment to the high intensity that Taekwondo demands. When you bring that to training every day, you're going to get successful athletes.
You've competed in many competitions all around the world. What's it kind of like traveling and all that sort of side?
It's not a kind of big thing to me. In terms of like people say, "Oh, did you see this place? Did you see that place?" I always just feel like I've got a job to do. Maybe I should kind of try and enjoy the experience a little bit more, but I just see myself to have a job to do. So most of the time anyway, we'll probably get like one day to go and see somewhere. But we if we're on camps, it's a little bit more relaxed. If it's competition, it is, we'll have such a kind of structure to what we're doing. We fly out, we have 2 days training, we weigh in, we fight, we travel home. So it is like amazing to say. I think I've been to over 40 countries, that I've traveled around the world. So but it's for a job. It's not traveling to see the places.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite medal from your fighting career?
I think the bronze at the World Championships in 2011 was a big moment. I'd got a European medal, got to the final in Euros in 2008. And then in the 2011 Worlds, I went in, like, won a couple of opens in US Open, German Open, fought really well. So that medal, I think it was only the third or fourth male from GB to ever get a world medal. It was the first world medal in 8 years. I think the last one was Paul Green, and first male world medal in 8 years. So it was a big moment to get through. And then as a team as well in 2011, we smashed it. It's not now, but back then it was our best world championships by an absolute mile. So we got Sarah Stevenson got gold, Jade got silver, Mike Harvey got silver, and I got bronze. So it was like four medals, which was just such a big achievement for us. So that was a highlight of my career. That medal for myself personally, but also from a team and trip perspective, that was such a good trip.
I know you work very closely with GB athlete Bradley Sinden, who is from my home city of Doncaster. What's it been like being able to share the experience of World Championships and multiple Olympics with him?
Yeah, I think it's such a good, trying to think of the word, like, experience is key as an athlete, but when you transfer as a coach and you can pass that experience and knowledge on, it's such a key component as a coach. You can have all the tactical knowledge and the technical knowledge that you want, but actually being in the ring and experiencing it and being able to kind of preempt what could happen is so valuable as a coach. So I feel like that helped me so much. I've fought internationally for 13 years, internationally as a senior for like 13 years, and then retired. I went to multiple world championships, European championships, and the Olympic Games. So that experience to pass down, I think, especially with Bradley's mentality, it was such a good kind of combination to have. And obviously you've seen kind of what he's done.
You talk a bit about the sort of transition from athlete to coach there. How did that sort of process come about?
I've always wanted to coach. So my colleague now, Stephen Jennings, who used to be my coach when I was an athlete, he was my club coach from when I was like 13 to 18, basically, until the academy started. So I'd help out in the club. I'd coach the kids when Steve couldn't, and I'd coach lessons when he was away, and I'd always wanted to coach. And then when I joined the academy, I started out a bit later on. I started working with the development athletes. So I was working with the junior team, going away while I was still competing, going away coaching them, and coaching on weekends. And after London, started doing seminars. So I always wanted to coach, and then my aim after London was to get to Rio. The kind of, now it's probably even younger, but average age people was retiring, especially in 58, 68, where it's a weight making and it's more dynamic, was late 20s, 30. So I was 29. I really wanted to try and get to Rio and qualify for Rio, but when that wasn't going to happen, I decided to, retire. And at the same time, I was thinking of kind of retiring back end of 2015. A job come up as coach. So I always wanted to coach national team and try and take players to the, highest level you can achieve. But my original plan was to do that a bit later on. Potentially start, like, I had my own business and I was doing seminars and other kind of personal coaching. So, but the opportunity come on to come on board with GB Taekwondo as a coach, and I just couldn't pass her up. So I went for the interview in December. I officially retired. I think it was the 22nd of December 2015, and then I started back in the same basically place on the 4th of January as a coach. So I just kind of, it was like a seamless transition. One day I was kicking people, the next I was telling people to kick people. It was a bit crazy.
So in Tokyo, Bradley won Olympic silver with you by his side. At the time, I imagine it must have been a bit disappointing, but looking back now, how do you sort of view your time in Tokyo?
Again, Tokyo was a strange one. It was, COVID. It was such a bloody stress to just get to Tokyo because, if anyone had COVID or anyone near you had COVID before Tokyo, you wasn't even allowed to fly. When we got there, the processes we had to go through, getting tested, so many different documents you needed to have to get into the country. Unfortunately, there was 2 people, I think, in Taekwondo who actually caught COVID on the way or tested positive when he got there, and they couldn't compete. So it was absolutely like devastating for them. Such a stressful kind of thing, just to hopefully we get there and we can compete, because it was just obviously a crazy situation. What we got there, and we tried to isolate ourselves as much as possible. So we didn't go in the village. We actually stayed in a hotel right over the road from the venue. So we had our camp in a university, which was really good. And then we traveled up and stayed in the hotel across the venue and done our last bit of preparation on our own there, and then walked over to the venue, and so we weren't less chance of sitting with loads of people on a bus or shuttles or wherever. And then the experience, the venue was amazing for Tokyo, but obviously there was no one in it. It was just a strange experience. But Bradley done obviously amazing. We've done so many kind of plans and scenarios, and who he'd fight, and we didn't expect Uzbekistan to get to the final. He was like an unknown who qualified, and he actually only made the games because of COVID, because it was delayed. Usually he wouldn't have went to Tokyo, but it was 2020. So there's a crazy, like, he's an unbelievable fighter, unbelievable skill. Knew it'd be like a tough challenge once he got the final, but we had so much preparation about loads of other players, and then it come to him, and I felt like Bradley still played a really good game, and it was the kind of way he lost that was the most disappointing. He just had it in the bag and made a mistake at the end, and he takes kind of ownership on that. He says, I didn't panic. I said, he wanted to get to the clinch to score more points, and trying to get to the clinch caused him to concede a spin at the end, and lost him the match. So it's like, on one side you can say he made a mistake, but on the other side you look at his semi-final against China when he was down by maybe 10 points at one point, and that battle to get in the short distance and fight and continue to fight and push the pace got him to the final. So it's Taekwondo. It's such a hard thing to take sometimes, but obviously devastated for him, devastated for Jade. But I think it was a successful games for us to know how close we was to. We had 5 athletes. We got 2 silver and a bronze. Bianca lost last kick in the semi-final, and she could have went on to win gold. Lauren lost one of the last kicks in their final. She's so close to gold. Same with Bradley. I think Jade just a lot of pressure trying to go for the third Olympics, and actually fought all right in the first couple of rounds, and then, boy, I feel like if she would have got past that girl, she could have had a chance. And same with Choa heavyweight. So we had such a good team there. It was just a bit disappointing not to get a gold.
Yeah.
But I feel like we were so close on 3 or 4 occasions that we could have got the gold.
And so you speak a bit about like the rest of the GB squad there. How much involvement do you have with those other athletes?
Not much from like a planning perspective. Obviously, the coaches share the plans, and we, suggest things, or we kind of get a team together and just question to see if the thoughts of everything, especially towards the Olympics. From a day-to-day basis, we have good communication with the other athletes, and if they ask, we'll share our feedback. But when it gets that close to the Olympics, we just want them to be really confident in their plan with their own coach, so it goes quite individual. But like now I've come back in the Olympics is obviously in 4 years. I'm working with another coach alongside, I think it's 13 lads. So, I look after 5 of them lads from an individual perspective, but when we do group sessions, I'll provide feedback to everyone as a group or individually, especially when they're developing. It's just that time before the Olympics that it'll be like really kind of specific with your individual coach.
So we've just had the Paris Olympics. How do you sum up the games for Team GB?
I think para guys amazing. Like they smashed it. Beth was gutted for Beth, but Matt and Amy, 2 golds, unbelievable achievement for them and the para team. I think Olympic on first thoughts is like a little bit disappointing. But I think I'll speak more about Bradley. It kind of felt like it got took out of his hands with the injury.
Yeah.
I feel like he was in the best position he'd been in, with preparation, with how he'd done his weight, with physicality, with everything. He was going into the games in the best position with Gorman. Looked really good first fight, and he was, he was levels above his first opponent. And then for Croatia, which we knew would be a challenge, but actually he fought amazingly in the first round, and then the second round, when he was 9-2 up in the second round, and Bradley doesn't usually give away leads, and he kind of went a bit defensive, and I didn't know obviously why. It was so loud in there. I was trying to say to him, carry on the same game, and he ended up losing that round, which he comes back to me, and I was a bit like, what happened? Why it changed? And he said, my knee's gone. I don't know what I've done to my knee. So his injury, he didn't kind of go into it too much, but his injury happened in the second fight against Croatia in the second round, so he had to battle through the third round to get through, and then we didn't have much time in between the second and third fight, but he couldn't do the game plan he wanted against Jordan. He basically, to be honest, he could hardly kick. So it was such a just devastating blow for him. He's done and he's the most professional athlete I've worked with. He doesn't leave anything kind of unturned. Put in so much work, and then for it to be took away, unfortunately, like an injury that you can't control. It's almost like Tokoyo was easier to take because it was his mistake that he owned, but an injury that you can't control, it's just so hard. So he was obviously devastated, but like I'm still amazingly proud of him, the way he got in and almost pulled it off. In the semi-final, that would have been such an amazing achievement. But yeah, for me, it just felt like we couldn't show kind of the work we'd done down to that injury.
So you spoke a little bit about the Paralympics, with obviously Matt Bush and Amy Truesdale both winning historic gold medals. How big of a moment is this for the Taekwondo Paralympics in Great Britain?
Massive. I said before before the Olympics and Paralympics, I said that's such an opportunity for us. You know, if we can get para athletes involved in Taekwondo, because I know there's quite a lot of crossover from sport to sport. You know, it's not just martial arts. Try it. You know, Matt was actually doing javelin and discus and before Taekwondo, and Beth was doing netball. Like, you know, because there's more limitations on the para. You know, you're not allowed to kick to the face. It's only body. It's easier to upskill people. Plus, as well,
Yeah.
obviously, you haven't got the depth that you have in the Olympic side. You know, there's probably, this is me just guessing, but I'd say 10 to 15 professional programs out there, you know, on the para side. There's not that many like professional programs doing what we're doing. So
Yeah.
it's such a massive opportunity if there's, you know, athletes in Britain, or, you know, even not athletes, you know, just athletic people, that can meet the criteria for para to get involved. I'm sure we will be looking to increase the numbers in the future, or to try and create more depth. It's just unfortunate that there's not a lot of opportunities for them guys. Because even on the world stage, you know, now they haven't got a competition till next year potentially, because
Yeah.
nothing's been released. So, you know, even domestically, there's no opportunities for them pretty much, apart from training and that. I don't think there's any competition. I might be wrong with that, but if there is, it's very limited.
Yeah.
So I think that them doing that is such a big boost to try and develop that depth and create more opportunities for them guys.
How far would you say that GB Taekwondo has progressed from 2012 to now?
I think as a program, massively in terms of knowledge, in terms of facilities. And then I think in that time we've had some amazing athletes. You know, Latalo went on to get silver in Rio. Lauren went on to get silver in Tokyo. Bradley silver. We're just looking for, or we're just trying to develop that next crop of athletes. Now from obviously Paris just gone to LA. But
Yeah.
in terms of a program, in terms of the support staff, the coaching knowledge, the facilities, it's changed a lot.
I know you do a lot for the like grassroots scene of Taekwondo, running the Martin Stamper Academy in Manchester. How does it feel sort of being able to give something back to the local community?
Yeah, it's something I wanted to set up for myself for a while. Like I said, I was doing seminars, and I was doing them quite frequently as an athlete, and really enjoyed it because my name was out there, you know, social media and stuff. As soon as I retired as a coach and transitioned to coach, kind of seminars like stopped a little bit, and I always thought to myself I'd really like to set up a club. But I just put it off and put it off and made excuses, and then it was April this year. I just kind of set some things up and took the plunge and started, and it's been really good experience so far. So I run 2 classes on a Tuesday and Thursday in a Fairfield Primary School in Droylsden. So I do 5 to 10-year-olds, 6 to 6:45, and then 10-year-old 11 plus 7 to 8. And went from, you know, me thinking, oh, you know, I won't have many members because I've started clubs with previous instructors before, and you know, when I was at club level when I was younger, and you know, it's hard to get members at first, and went from like 20 members in a couple of weeks, and now I'm nearly at 40 members. You know, I've only setting up like 5 months ago, so it's going really well. We had our first grade in last month, and the kids absolutely smashed it and loved it. You know, I think I'm trying to build like a real community inside the club, and I feel it, especially in the younger session, pretty much all the parents, you know, stay. So we have a great little community with the kids and the parents. And it's totally different. I think at first, you know, I hadn't been in club levels since I was, you know, 18, 19. And then it's a total different kind of take. You can't go in there with an ego. You can't go in there with expectations like I do every day coming in, you know, GB Taekwondo. It's massively different, but you can get the same buzz off, you know, teaching a white belt to do a back leg as you can getting a world medal with, you know, a GB Taekwondo athlete. It's just you've got to manage them expectations differently, obviously. So yeah, it's a challenge at times, but I'm really enjoying it.
What would you say are the like physical and mental benefits of learning Taekwondo?
I think physically, like you're definitely gonna improve your general fitness. You're gonna definitely get more dynamic. We do a lot of single leg work. We do a lot of change in direction. It's yeah, if you don't get injured, which obviously injuries come with the sport, but you get a lot of really good benefit in your leg muscles and your joints, because you have to kind of be dynamic. It's really good for your flexibility, and then mentally, it's probably even a bigger, a kind of bigger positive. Even from the young age, you know, some of my values are respect and resilience. At my club, so they kind of build that early on. You know, being able to fall over, like loads of the kids in my club fall over, and you know, it's getting back up and
Yeah.
brushing yourself off and going again. Obviously, it's different, but very similar from these guys in the academy, where you know they take a loss and they can't focus too much on the loss. They have to take, you know, what they can and build on it and then go to the next one. I think mentally, that's what I mentioned about Bradley earlier. Like mentally, he's an absolute beast. You know, he works on his mentality, but also he's just got a natural ability to kind of stay calm in pressure situations and yeah, I think the mentality from Taekwondo is really good.
My final question is, obviously you being a coach, what's kind of like one piece of advice you'd give to someone that either like wants to start Taekwondo or is very early on in their Taekwondo journey?
I think just commit. Like, so if you wanna try it, just give it a go. And then when you're there, and if you're early on, just commit to everything you're doing with intent, and you'll improve. Like some people, you know, if they actually want to improve and they want to do it at a good level, then that's the key bit of advice I'll give. Just have intent, have enjoyment, definitely. Even these guys in the academy, it's their job, but you have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to have a passion. You have to love what you're doing. But not all the time. Obviously, I've just done conditioning with one of my athletes, and he definitely didn't love that. But you definitely have to find the enjoyment in what you're doing. Set yourself targets and goals, and then have intent with what you're doing. That's the main thing. You see people who turn up and go through the motions. You're not really going to get much from it. If you commit and give yourself every chance, I think as long as you've got clear targets and goals to achieve, then you'll achieve them.
Martin, thanks so much for your time.
No problem.